Alright, hello everyone. So my name is Putu Sebastian Cahyadi with ID number 2112021207, and today I would like to explain about some skills in teaching, which is explanation skill and also opening and closing skill. So for the first is explanation skill. So what is actually explanation skill? Explanation is an activity that is done by the teacher to clarify or to enrich students' understanding. In order to do that, we need to understand the components that in explaining or in the explanation skill. That is planning, presenting explanation, emphasize using clues, and utilizing feedback. So before explaining, we need to plan first. So what are we going to explain? And when we present the explanation, we need to emphasize using clues or examples to enhance the student's understanding. And also when we utilize feedback, we can also explain a little bit to make them even more understand about the topic that is explained. So there are 5 principles of explanation, such as can be given anytime in the teaching and learning process. So here, explaining can be given in in every situation in the classroom, from, for example, in the beginning or in the middle of the section on the classroom, or in the end to conclude the material or the topic for that day. And the second one is relevant to the objective of the lesson. So when we explain, we need to be relevant and not off subject from the topic that is explained that day. And the third one, the teacher can give explanation when student asks. So when in some situation, students still a little bit confused about the material, and they will ask you, what is blah 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 blah, and then you explain it to the students. And the fourth one must be meaningful. There is there is something um that makes the students understand about the explanation. Either it makes it, or it should make the material easier because you already explain it to them. So our goal when we explaining is make the students understand easier. So yeah, that's the meaning of must be meaningful. So, and the last one is accordance with the students' ability and characteristics. So here we need to match ourselves with the students, because every student is different, and we need to match ourselves with them, not and ignoring their not ignoring their characteristics and their abilities as well. So here are the purposes of explaining. So the first one is to guide students to understand, involve the students to think, and give feedback to students, and to assist students to acquire and comprehend the concept. So we move on to the opening skill. So opening skill is an activity to make the students engage in the teaching and learning process. So oftentimes the students, especially in the afternoon classes, for example, we need a very good opening to make the students not sleepy, right? So yeah, opening skill is important also for teachers. So there are several ways to begin the learning activities, such as attracting attention, increasing motivation, and also making connection. Attracting attention could be like can be done by using media, asking them questions, or etc. And then we move on to the closing skill. Closing skill is an activity that is conducted by the end of the lesson to make sure that the students very understand or comprehend the topic. So there are ways to close the lessons, such as reviewing students' understanding and also evaluating. Reviewing students' understanding can be done in some ways, for example, by asking them questions about the material, or ask them to make a conclusion or summary by groups, by individually. You can do it, yeah, like that. It can be done by giving asking them to make a summary or a conclusion. and we can also evaluate them. So there are principles in implementing opening and closing skill, and it's also quite similar to the explanation skill before. So the first one need to be meaningful. Meaningful means that when we open a class, we should make the activity meaningful. It's just not like only to make the students not sleepy anymore, but it's also to make them very engaged. And and the second one is order of sequence and continuity. So which means that the activities that from the first until the last are in order, and it's not spread out everywhere, and it's neatly structured very, very carefully. All right, I think that's all for my presentation. I'm sorry if there's any mistakes that I've made. Thank you very much.